Welcome back to the Flip Side. We are here for one last segment with Commissioner Terry Baker, and our last topic, which is one I am personally excited about, is downtown development. And lots of questions around that. So I'm going to start with Colin to get into that one.
So, Mr. Baker, and I think, obviously for the county, Hagerstown is, whether we like it or not, the economic driver. I think a lot of the other municipalities contribute, obviously, but I think for all of us, Hagerstown development is very important. So there's been a lot of discussion about this, but what exactly is the county's role in working with the city to really focus on developing the square area? So specifically related to the University of Maryland, BISFA, and some of the other properties around there.
Well, I think many times over the last 20, 25 years, there's been all kinds of ideas floating around on how to get feet back in the street downtown Hagerstown. I always remember that, feet in the street. And then of course, when the school board bought the property out on the Downsville Pike, there were some upset people downtown. They thought they should have moved all of their offices downtown. Then the school board put together a plan as to take the Bowman property, renovate it, turn it into a new school, and that would save millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to build a new East City High School. So there's been a lot of collective thoughts, minds being put together and ideas. And then, of course, when the school board tried to build the school on its own, they said that they did need the county commissioners, and that's when they were trying to get some legislation in there for borrowing authority, and that did not go forward. So their plan originally wasn't successful, and I think at that time, was it a $15 million project, or
yes,
18, somewhere in there. So that's when the County Board of Commissioners, we started thinking of ways to try to do something positive for downtown Hagerstown, and that's when we came up with the idea, and this was Administrator Murray's idea. I don't want to take credit for his idea and thought, but he's the one that put together, let us be the lead entity. Let's get all of the people that can benefit, and let's put together a true project for all of downtown Hagerstown. And that's when he involved the city, the Board of Education, the University of Maryland system, the theater, just all of the entities that could have a stake there. And then we reached out to see how much each entity could contribute comfortably. So we came up with a dollar amount, and that's how it all got started, and to where it's at today. So, and I did tell him I wanted most of my money going to the Maryland Theater, but it looks like a majority of our money is going to be going to the Board of Education for the building of the school, which is needed also.
Sure.
Right.
I actually conducted my MBA research on feet in the street in downtown Hagerstown revitalization. That was 10 years ago. It'd be interesting to dust it off and see how far we've come since then.
So it's an exciting project, and it's going to happen. And I've even told several of the partners, if we can't come up with all of the money, we come up with a portion of the money, let's get started with what we have.
Gotcha.
Ron, could you contribute some questions regarding some other projects in downtown and maybe even Fort Ritchie, if it applies?
I would take all we've talked about. You've talked about a possible $2 billion project at Fort Ritchie Cascade. We've talked about downtown. We've talked about the Edison building that Bowman owns beside BISFA now, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. We've talked about the building that Mr. Crampton, Mr. Snook, and Mr. Barr own, and how that will all be tied in.
I don't think Mr. Snook owns the building.
But he's a partner. He's one of the partners in it. And watching all of that happen, somebody is going to have a major responsibility of holding these two projects together. So as you move forward with new ideas with your Economic Development Commission, giving it some teeth, do you see a deputy county administrator type person overseeing special projects? How do you see this all being controlled as the county moves forward?
Well, I think the major responsibility is going to fall back on our county administrator, our new one. I think a lot of it's going to fall back on on him or her, and I think they're going to be the ones that are going to advise the commissioners as to what their thoughts are on on how they want to keep moving the project forward. We have commissioners that are developers, so they're certainly not going to let anything fail. And I think when you look at all of the partners that are involved, each of the entities have somebody that that's going to keep this project moving forward. It's going to be on the fast track, and it's going to happen. And ultimately, the county commissioners are going to
So you got
be in
unanimous support on the county commissioners, is what you're saying. Good. And the city council.
Yes,
And
and
the
that going back to the replacement of our county administrator, we have all said Fort Ritchie, downtown Hagerstown, the revitalization of downtown Hagerstown is a must, and we're not going to lose focus of that, and that's definitely going to be, the major focus for the county commissioners for the next many years.
Great. Thank you.
Excellent.
Ken, did you want to offer any final thoughts on this one?
So I'm going to steal one of Ron's favorite phrases. We've got railways, roadways, and runways. All right, so roadway, we've got I-81 expansion just starting. I've seen the cranes down at the bridge. How do you see I-81's expansion playing towards economic development in the future of our county?
Well, when you look across the United States, there's not many places across the United States where you have two major interstates crisscrossing, 70 and 81. And 81, which has more truck traffic than any interstate in the United States, and we've been to many events out at Volvo, and they remind us all the time when that truck is stopped, how much money it costs per truck, and it becomes millions and millions of dollars when you talk about all of the trucks that they have, and every company that's running trucks on Interstate 81. And if you'd asked me a month ago the dollar amount, I could have told you. I can't pull it up right now, but it's millions of dollars that these businesses and companies are losing when that traffic's tied up on Interstate 81.
Okay. So you definitely think it's going to be
It's going to
a
be
big economic
yeah.
factor for us
Yeah.
in the future.
And maybe I'm just partial to my community, and maybe I don't see what's going on around the whole United States. But I know I drive 81. I was on it today, and I stopped for 5 minutes. And to me, that would be the number one project if I was the governor or the president of the United States. I'd see that 81 got taken care of first. It moves more trucks than any interstate in the United States.
Well, one last question for you. What is your number one priority or number one goal for this year as the president of our Board of Commissioners?
Well, my number one goal is always be responsible to the citizens of Washington County. I pride myself in going out listening to the citizens, and many times when I make my decisions with my vote, it comes from the community. It doesn't come necessarily from me. So I don't know, I just enjoy listening to citizens, and here's where I get my best ideas, believe it or not. Going into the grill, which is used to go into the grill, or go into small restaurants and just listen to the average person.
Well, great response, and we really enjoyed listening to you and to come to our show, and we hope to have you back again in the future and wish you all the success.
Thank you very much.
in the
I've
future.
been honored to be here this evening. I will admit I was nervous, and I don't mind that.
No worries. We have really enjoyed having you. Thank you again so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all we had for that segment. Up next, Fast Five. Stay tuned.